Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Hey, super quickly here, GamerSupps is once again doing Christmas in July, starting July 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to get a free gift with purchase with every tub you buy, then take advantage of this by using code OZ at checkout. Every purchase made does directly support the channel, and gets us closer to a shaker cup. Let's get back to it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Pound Sound, posted to r/legal advice February 8th, 2019. My neighbor called the cops on me for shots fired. But there's more. I've been hearing a pounding sound in my apartment for about a month. I can't tell where it's coming from, but it wakes me up from a dead sleep. I haven't had a full night's sleep since the beginning of the year because of this. I searched the neighborhood thinking it might be a construction site, made a formal complaint to the city, and left a note for my landlord. No one could help me. It's like I was hearing things. One night, I was going to bed, and the sound re-emerged. Losing my sanity, I banged as hard as I could on the wall and floor and shouted, "What is that fucking sound?" About 3 minutes later, I was being held at gunpoint by the police in my boxers, completely in shock. Turns out my neighbor called shots fired on me. Once they searched my house and realized I had no weapons and couldn't possibly fire a gun that didn't exist, they asked me what was going on. I told them what I told you, and they took me in handcuffs to the psych ward for evaluation. After about 7 hours of giving blood, urine, and convincing a psychologist that I am not a threat to society, they released me. When I got home, the sound was in full force. Now that I'm thinking I'm crazy and hearing things, I decide to gather as much evidence as possible before making accusations. Last night, the noise was so loud that I could tell it was coming from the neighbor who called the cops on me. Now I think she might have done it on purpose to retaliate against me. My question, am I overreacting or do I have a legit grievance that needs to be addressed? What are my options? Edit, I'm from Denver, Colorado. Relevant comments, Swamp Barber. Do you have any recordings of the sound? OP responds, I did take a recording last night and I think because of the low frequency of the sound, my phone didn't do it justice. On the recording, it sounds like white noise with a slight pulsing sound in the background. I played it for my sister, and she said she could barely hear anything. But when she played it to my younger nephew, he said he could hear what sounds like a washing machine in the background, which is exactly how I have described the sound. Swamp Barber responds, can you put the sound file into Audacity and remove the sound of white noise to get the low frequency sound separated? Also, what age are you, and do you have any history of mental illness in your family? It doesn't sound like that's the case, but it's best to look at all the possibilities. Opie responds, I'll try that. I keep telling people that the mic in your phone is designed to pick up voices, not low-frequency pounding noises, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I definitely have mental health issues in my family, but mostly just depression and anxiety. The idea that it is mental is absolutely on the table for me. I will not deny it. However, up until this point, all of my friends, coworkers, and family would tell you that other than some depression issues, I am of sound mind. CMH Bob responds, have you been able to record any of these noises? It's not entirely possible you're experiencing auditory hallucinations, which can be a symptom of severe mental health issues. If your neighbor upstairs next door is hearing the same thing and you can both record them, your next step is probably the two of you reaching out to your landlord. Edit 2. The responses so far have basically reaffirmed what I was dreading. I am going to have my sister come over and listen for the sound. If she tells me she can't hear it while I can, I'm going in for counseling. Here's hoping she hears it. Edit 3. Thanks to everyone who is helping me figure this out. Pretty much everyone is on the same boat right now, so I won't be responding much. This weekend, my sister and my best buddy are going to stay with me and see if they can hear it. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Sorry r/legal advice. This turned into more of a psychological thing, but I hope to return with an update on if anything comes of this legally for sure. I secretly am hoping that my neighbor is running a meth ring and my super hearing saved the day, but we shall see. Update. February 14th, 2019. As much as I would love to tell you differently, the sound is unfortunately not real. I know there was a lot of speculation as to the validity of the sound, and to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure there wasn't some sort of triggering sound to begin with. However, the police, my neighbor, a local business I accused of making the sound, a local construction area I accused, my sister, and my best buddy couldn't hear the sound when I very definitely could. As it turns out, binge drinking almost every weekend for the entirety of my 20s and early 30s caused my liver enzymes to be elevated. In some cases, people with elevated liver enzymes experience mental side effects, especially if you have an undiagnosed anxiety disorder, like I just found out. I am one of those people. I essentially drank myself into psychosis and made my anxiety worse. I have a scheduled appointment with a counselor and will be put on some sort of meds for sure. Thanks to everyone who had suggestions of what the sound might be, and sorry to r/legal advice for not being about legal stuff. I truly felt like I had been swatted, but it turns out I'm just a little messed up in the head, and it was probably for the better. Edit, if only you guys could see the comments coming in, your faith in humanity would be restored. Lots of love from total strangers and people who have experienced the same sort of thing. Don't be afraid to talk about mental illness, people. We all have downtimes and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Isolating yourself and ignoring it is literally the worst thing you can do. It took 5 cops with guns pointed at my chest to learn that lesson. Don't be like me. Recently, I had a family member who cut off their excessive drinking cold turkey, and one of the things they had to deal with was the auditory hallucinations that came with it. And just the fact of, oh, that's how far gone I was, and the additional wake-up call that came with it. I've actually heard this be referred to as exploding head syndrome, which sounds crazy, but this is exactly what it is. It's oftentimes categorized by just an extremely loud bang or pop or, kind of like a gunshot, basically. Sometimes it happens while you're trying to sleep, and sometimes it just happens just because you're sleep deprived. I wouldn't be surprised that OP was dealing with that, but that's just kind of a crazy situation to be in, and I actually feel bad for OP's neighbor because they were just existing and just living life, and suddenly just banging on the walls, stop making that noise, when no noise was being made. I am a bit shocked that they just immediately assumed that they were gunshots and called the cops for that, but I kinda can't blame them. Better safe than sorry. I do really feel bad for OP though for finding out that the banging noise they've been associating with construction workers and their neighbors and just anything possible nearby turns out to be auditory hallucinations, and all those letters they were sending off reporting the noise, yeah, that's a bit embarrassing. Hopefully OP is on their path to recovery and on their way into just a better life in general. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is The Morning Bride. Posted to r/relationships January 7th, 2022. My, 31 female, husband, 41 male, makes mean jokes, and I want to help him stop before we have children. So grateful to have found this community, and hoping that getting some outside opinions on my situation will help me understand things and figure out how to address this in a constructive way with my husband. I, 31 female, have been with my husband, 40s male, for 10 years, now married. I always knew I wanted to have kids only after I was married, and now that we finally are, I've allowed myself to start thinking more in depth about it, and I had an inconvenient realization. I could not bring a child into this situation without seeing change in his behavior. While he has this one bad habit, our relationship is not inherently verbally abusive. So I'm having trouble finding resources and stories from others who have been in similar situations. The good. He's a great provider. He would be a very fun dad. He's very generous and supportive. I love him. He loves me. The bad. He makes jokes that are hurtful and make me feel a fundamental lack of respect. I'm fine, but when I imagine me as a child growing up with a father like him, I just can't even fathom how broken I would be. I know I need to address this before having kids. We have had conversations about this in the past, and it's just who he is. Not aimed only at me, and I'm a very sensitive person. The problem. How can I have a conversation about this with him? I'm not perfect, so why is it okay for me to point out his flaws? Is there a playbook here? A guide? I just can't stand feeling like I'm issuing an ultimatum or holding him hostage. And I feel so awful that I didn't have the insight or personal awareness to address this before we got married. I'm struggling to frame this in a way that is supportive. Us as a team against this issue, instead of attacking him. How do I address this? Too long didn't read. Husband has a habit of joking in a way that I've just realized would be hurtful to a child. I want to help him change this behavior before having kids, but don't know how to have that conversation. Edit to add. Thanks for the help and concern all. I don't know what this means for me, and it's a lot to process, but I really appreciate so many people sharing their thoughts with me. Not trying for kids, not off birth control, he barely touches me anyways. Under no circumstances would I bring a child into this situation currently. Relevant comments from OP, in response to a request for example of the jokes. I'm having trouble finding examples because they just really aren't jokes. He only calls them that because he thinks they're funny. You're eating like a fat girl. Just joking, and he didn't call me fat, so I can't justify getting upset. Parentheses, laughing when I ask how I look in a new top. Parentheses. It was funny because I had bad posture when I asked him. He wasn't laughing at me, just the situation of me trying to be cute but asking with poor posture and in an unconfident tone. You're going to tear the house down. Context was I'm opening a cabinet and he wanted to point out with a funny comment/joke that I was being too heavy-handed. It was after I had spent days cleaning the house for his mother to visit and I was very stressed. It upset me because I felt like I couldn't do a single thing without criticism. I cried and he got upset that I reacted in that way. In response to someone telling OP she didn't have to continue to put up with cruel comments, and that her not saying anything in the past was not an excuse for her husband to continue. I mean, it kind of is though, isn't it? If I didn't do a good enough job of identifying it as an issue and putting a stop to it when it first started happening, what right do I have to demand change now that we're married? It feels like a bait and switch. I hate the idea of being a demanding wife. I just want to figure out how to help him see it as an issue, so we can both work together to change our behaviors into something that would be a supportive, loving environment for kids to grow up in. I feel like I haven't done my part either. I need to own that. It just isn't who I am, and he loves that for me. I'm not demanding or high maintenance. I think it's less about advocating for myself and more just, it feels unfair for me to ask this. Nothing has changed since we got married. The only thing that changed was my perception of something that has been a constant in our relationship. It feels like an unfair demand. I just want to make it an us against the issue instead of a me against you or you must do XYZ before ABC. That feels low. We're a team. I just want to make sure I'm communicating it in the right way. But I still want to be the cool, strong, supportive wife. I just feel like I messed up here. If this was truly a big issue, I wouldn't have married him. I did. We're here now. And even though I didn't see it at first, I do now. I want to help us both be the best we can. I'm here, and I need to help us both work through this or learn to live with it like I have been. I want kids, but if this can't be the right environment for them, then it's not meant to be. Edit to add, fuck. I just don't know anymore. Can't believe I wrote that kids could be out of the picture. I'm really struggling to understand all of this. Thanks for your kind words. Smiley face. Update 1. Okay, so he's verbally abusive. Now what? January 7th, 2022, the same post. I, 31 female, have been with my husband, 43 male, for 10 years. Married 6 months. Posted on an advice sub, and I'm realizing it's a bigger issue than I thought. So, what now? I'm having a really hard time digesting all of this. I read, "Why does he do that?" yesterday. Couldn't put it down. And while I see some things that my partner does, it's not many, and it's honestly not often. It really boils down to making mean jokes and unsolicited advice/critiques. That's all. And not all the time. I've just been thinking it over for 3 days, and he hasn't said anything bad in that time. When he does, it just sticks out of my mind because it's hurtful. Here is what I think I need help understanding. Is it possible that this isn't intentional? He learned this behavior from his mother and has low emotional intelligence. I know that he truly loves me. I can't understand how he could do this on purpose. How is he such a truly great, supportive, kind partner in other ways? Does that outweigh his faults? He's such a great provider. He's supportive of my career and pays all of our expenses, which allows me to work doing what I love. This is a big sacrifice for him and something he did very intentionally for me. How could someone do that to someone they want to hurt? What if it really truly is me? I am sensitive and insecure. I do make things that are benign about me when I'm feeling down. I know these things are true. Couldn't it be a combination of an awful, outdated, unfunny sense of humor and me being hypersensitive to criticism? I think we both share fault here. Relevant comments from OP. In response to someone saying OP shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around her husband. Oh, geez, I offhandedly said that to him just the other day, that I walk on eggshells around him. More related to other issues than the one here, but still. And he flipped it around completely on me. Said that it's the opposite and he has to do all of that for me because of my unpredictable emotional responses to things, and that I ruin the mood all the time. In response to someone asking about whether she and her husband still have a physical relationship. Quote, he barely touches me anyway, end quote. Stood out to me. Why doesn't he? What's going on? Ha, that's a whole other can of worms. Wish I knew. He's just not interested in me sexually. It was normal at first, less frequent over time, and somewhere in the first few years, the jab started, poking fun at things I say or do in bed. How I move, what I'm wearing, what I want. He really made me think it was me, but I'm not unattractive, I know that. Just for some reason, nothing about me is quite good enough for him. Why did he even marry me if I'm such a disappointment? Anyway, I got on birth control early on, and it killed my sex drive, so I don't feel as rejected all the time. That helps. Commenter. I think you may need to ask yourself some questions, like, are you happy with this person? Is it worth having them around? Does the bad outweigh the good, or is it the other way around? OP responds, parts of both. I love him. I don't feel like I can justify leaving him. Unfunny jokes, infrequent sex, I don't know. It doesn't feel like enough. I'm just beating myself up for not realizing this until now. In response to a commenter encouraging her to analyze her husband's behavior for signs of intentional manipulation. I'm trying to do the same thing. It all came into focus the other day. He said he was scared I would find someone better and leave him. That second, things started to make sense. I don't want to admit it because it's so painful, but I think he does do it, at least partially on purpose. It worked so well too. I believed everything he said for so long. Update 2, January 2nd, 2022, 5 days later. Okay, I talked to my therapist, who I was seeing because my husband had me believing I had emotional regulation and communication problems. Came armed with research and concrete examples of his manipulative, controlling, and demanding patterns. She was supportive, but firm. Recommended I reach out to my local domestic violence organization to help me work out a safe exit plan and get legal aid regarding the divorce. She said sooner rather than later. And I trust her, but I'm stunned. I feel like my whole entire world is upside down. I keep flipping back and forth between, thank God other people can see this too, I'm not crazy, and it is that bad. And he's my best friend. I'm heartbroken, and he's the only one there for me. He needs me, and I could never leave him. I know I should leave, but I don't know what to do. I just want to talk to him and work it out, and this will all just be one big misunderstanding. Right? I'm heartbroken. I can't have kids here, but if I leave, I'll be alone, and also probably won't have kids, and I'll be broken and ashamed. All those conversations. He's going to want me back or want an explanation. I really think that's what I'm hung up on the most. He has so little emotional awareness that I know he won't have any idea what I'm talking about. I know he'll think I'm crazy. I want him to know what he's done, but he's not going to. He might not ever understand. We're so happy so much of the time, I don't know if I can do this. Anyway, hi, worst update, but you all were right. For anyone in a similar situation, Lundy Bancroft's "Why Does He Do That?" was very eye-opening and described him in ways I couldn't articulate on my own. He fits the profile of the water torturer perfectly. Additionally, very, very helpful these past few days, the hotline, looks like I can't link, but you can search, they have a text or chat service, and for anyone out there, like me, it's not just emotional/verbal abuse. It's abuse, and they are there to help and support. I spent a few hours over a few days just talking through things with people who really understood, and it was exactly what I needed. Please reach out if it's something you need. Too long didn't read. My husband isn't mean. He's verbally abusive. And don't know what's next. New updates. I'm just exhausted. How am I supposed to get through this? January 22nd, 2022, 10 days later. Just discovered the sub, relieved to have a place to vent to people who will get it. Very recently realized that my 10-year-long relationship is not healthy. No need to go into details because the profile of a water torturer from Lundy Bancroft's Why Would He Do That fits him like a glove. Cruel, cutting remarks disguised as jokes or helpful comments. Constant criticism. That man could Darvo the pants off of Trump. If I take a step back, it's impressive. All in all, it's taken me completely by surprise. In the last few weeks, I've found out that I'm not the source of all of our relationship troubles. I'm not a complete fuck-up of a wife. And none of this is normal. It's a mindfuck. Now I'm biding time. I have an exit plan. But I'm saving for the next few months before I execute it. It's been about a week. I'm fucking exhausted. All of that energy I used to spend twisting myself into exactly who I knew he wanted, regulating my reactions, hiding me, it's not enough. Not nearly enough. Now that I see this shit in every interaction and spend my time cycling through rage and shame and excitement and mourning, I'm spent. Y'all, I have no idea how I'm going to get through the next few months. I'm so excited to start living again, but fuck. Next update was posted to r/legal advice. California. Threatening joke. Enough for police? February 7th, 2022, 18 days later. Advice much appreciated. Brief background. My husband's verbal abuse and coercive control have increased over the past decade. I've recently realized the state of this marriage and am planning my exit. As I've become more aware of his behaviors and can see things more clearly, it has been harder to maintain my good wife attitude. I'm standing up for myself more. I'm growing concerned about my safety, but not sure if the incident today is enough to involve police. He has never been physically violent. Incident. Today, after I had upset him by standing up for myself in a conversation, he talked for at least a full minute about how he would kill me. As a joke. He said, roughly, that because I was speaking this way to him lately, he would kill me in my sleep. It would be easy because I'm such a sound sleeper. Then went back and said I'm surprisingly strong when I'm asleep. I toss and turn and that it might give me an advantage. More talk about how easy it would be. Then the part that bothered me the most, no, if I'm going to go to all the trouble of killing you, I'd strangle you while you're awake. I'd want to see the light leave your eyes. I'd have to get something good out of it. The fact that it was fairly specific and in direct response to me upsetting him has me concerned for my safety between now and leaving, especially if he finds out or grows suspicious. My gut says it might be worth involving the police in moving up my exit timeline. My concerns and questions. Is what he said legally considered a threat? Is it actionable considering this is just based on my word? What would, likely, happen if I did choose to report this? Is there any way for me to report this without his knowledge? Edited for clarity. Relevant comments. Car Queen. Not a lawyer, but move up your exit date to now. Involving police at this very moment will give him an advantage on you and could anger him more. Get your important documents out of there ASAP and move your funds from your joint account to an account he doesn't have access to. I would also suggest saving your photos from your phone somewhere and doing a hard reset on your phone to ensure he doesn't have phone tracking or that he doesn't have remote access to your phone. Change passwords everywhere, but get out now. OP responds, thank you. I appreciate the concern and advice. Working on putting a go bag together now with important documents and things I'll need. I'm on high alert and moving up my exit date to, okay, not now, but significantly sooner than I was planning. 9 months later. Little happy update, October 6th, 2022. Hi, I'm not sure if anyone will see this, but I had such an outpouring of support over a whole bunch of subreddits, so I thought this might be the best way to give an update. First, thank you. Thank you all. Everyone who reached out with support, everyone who shared their stories, everyone who pushed back, and gave me the opportunity to form my own viewpoints and advocate for myself. Without the reality check that came from my posts, I'm sure I would have been stuck in this for much longer than I was already. The update. I'm out. It was a long process, it wasn't linear, and there was so much self-doubt along the way. But I wanted to share the moment that it finally stuck. We had been going back and forth with a divorce. He's doing all the things. He's been the best version of himself. He's improving. Lots more details that ultimately aren't important, but he kept asking, "Are you sure?" And I wasn't, for a long time. He worked his magic, and I thought that maybe I had made the worst mistake of my life, but he kept asking, and I kept listening to my gut. I tried saying, no, let's call this all off and work on us. But that didn't feel good. I felt heavy, like it was putting back on this huge burden that I had just started to get out of. Then I tried saying maybe. I was being honest, I was confused, and I told him that. I said I needed time, I needed space, but that felt restrictive. It felt like my body was being compressed. And one morning, I realized I hadn't tried saying yes yet. I hadn't tried telling him that yes, I wanted this to be over. So I tried it. I said yes, let's end this. And it felt like all of the weight was lifted off of me. It felt like I could fill my lungs fully again. It felt like the sort of warmth in your chest that you get when your mom gives you a hug. So it stuck. I'm learning to listen to myself again and to trust my instincts. I'm not judging myself for my path to get here. I'm treating myself with all the compassion and kindness I deserved for all of those years. I'm on my own path now, and it feels so amazing to be here. So thank you all again for everything. Thank you for your concern and outreach. I'm happier and healthier than I have been in a very long time. It is a bit unnerving how many posts like this that I've encountered where they always start with, well, my husband can't be abusive because he's such a great guy. And they spiral into a very specific death threat pointed towards their partner. It's actually kind of shocking how often this happens. In my experience, listen to your gut, because your gut will tell you things you don't want to hear, and you'll try to tell your gut that it's wrong. But chances are it's onto something, and you're actively just trying to avoid actually seeing the clear reflection in the mirror of what's going on around you. In OP's case, it was the perfect storm. Well, you're just too sensitive and you just don't understand the jokes. But the thing is, a joke is supposed to be funny. It's supposed to make both parties laugh, or maybe just one party laughing and the other one confused. But that's it. Those are dad jokes, by the way. A dad joke is a joke where you make yourself laugh and embarrass yourself in the process. But the kind of shit the husband was doing, or hopefully at this point, ex-husband was doing, that's not a joke. All of his quote-unquote jokes weren't jokes. Some of those were just straight up bullying, some of them were abuse, and that final one, that was just a fucking death threat. Potentially in a fucked up way, even a fantasy. I'm very happy that OP managed to find themselves out of this situation and to safety. And I hope that any of you who might find yourselves in similar situations, or even maybe noticing patterns in your day-to-day life that don't add up, maybe you can get yourself out of them and be in a healthier and happier position as well, like OP did. Good luck out there. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the soda pressing pear or even the dragon fruit punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.